I still remember the day my son called me, his voice trembling with excitement. Mom, you won't believe this, I did it. I sold the company. $53 million. Can you believe it? For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My son, the boy I had raised on my own after his father passed, had just become a multi-millionaire. Tears welled up in my eyes, not from jealousy, but from pride. I thought finally, all those sleepless nights, double shifts, and sacrifices were worth it. When he invited me to his new mansion for a celebration dinner, I put on my best dress, my heart bursting with joy. I imagined us sitting together, laughing about the old days, and him saying, "Mom, you'll never have to worry about anything again." And for a little while, that's exactly how it felt. The champagne flowed, the chandeliers sparkled, and my son wore a smile wider than I'd ever seen. He introduced me to his new friends, lawyers, investors, and polished strangers who laughed at jokes that weren't funny. But then something changed. It started small. A sideways glance when I used the wrong fork at dinner. A sigh when I mentioned how much I missed our simple family dinners. Then the comments became sharper. "Mom, maybe you shouldn't talk about the past so much. People here don't care about that." Or, "You don't have to dress so plain. I can hire you a stylist if you want." I brushed it off, telling myself he was just adjusting to his new life. But a week later, the mask slipped entirely. I came to visit him one afternoon with a homemade pie, his favorite apple cinnamon. But when I arrived, he met me at the door, his expression cold. "Mom, you can't keep showing up unannounced. This isn't your home anymore." The words stung, but I forced a smile. "I know, sweetheart. I just wanted to bring you..." He cut me off. "Look, I appreciate everything you did for me, but I need space. I'm not a kid anymore. Honestly, it's embarrassing when you hang around. I've got a reputation now." Embarrassing, that was the word he used. Before I could respond, two of his assistants appeared, carrying my small overnight bag I'd left from a previous visit. They handed it to me like I was a stranger. And just like that, I was out. Standing on the curb outside his mansion, clutching a pie and my bag, I felt my heart break in a way I didn't think was possible. My son had $53 million, and I suddenly had nothing. The walk away from that mansion felt longer than any journey I had ever taken in my life. Every step was heavy, not because of the overnight bag in my hand, but because of the weight pressing on my heart. I had raised that boy alone. I had skipped meals to make sure he ate, stayed awake through long nights, sewing clothes to sell, and worked myself sick just to keep him in school. And now, he couldn't even stand the sight of me. I didn't want anyone to see my tears, so I ducked into the nearest bus stop and sat there with the pie in my lap. Cars whooshed by, the sky growing darker, and I thought to myself, where do I even go now? I had my small apartment still, though it wasn't much. One bedroom, peeling wallpaper, and a drafty window that howled in the winter. Compared to his mansion, it felt like a shoebox. But it was mine, and in that moment, it was the only place that welcomed me. The following weeks were some of the loneliest of my life. While my son posted pictures of yachts, parties, and vacations on social media, I sat in my dim kitchen, eating leftovers and watching the clock tick. Friends called, asking if I was proud of him. Proud? How could I explain that the boy I gave my soul to had turned his back on me? Bills piled up quickly. My body wasn't strong enough for 2 jobs anymore, but I picked up whatever extra shifts I could. Some nights I'd come home so tired, I'd fall asleep still wearing my work clothes. Yet, through all the exhaustion, I never let bitterness fully consume me. Instead, I clung to the memories of the boy he used to be. The one who used to run to me after school, waving his test papers proudly. The one who would say, "One day, Mom, I'll take care of you." I told myself maybe this was just a phase. Maybe the money had clouded his judgment. But as months rolled by and his calls stopped entirely, reality settled in. I had been replaced. Still, I refused to let anger define me. If my son wanted to treat me like nothing, then I would show him that nothing was still strong enough to stand. What I didn't know then was that his empire was already cracking. And when it finally collapsed, the very first person he would come crawling back to was me. It was a rainy evening when my phone rang. The number flashing on the screen was unfamiliar, but something in my gut told me to answer. "Mom?" The voice was shaky, almost unrecognizable. My heart skipped. My son. For a long moment, I couldn't find words. He hadn't called me in months. Not a single holiday, not even my birthday. And now, suddenly here he was. "Mom, I need you." His voice cracked, and I could hear the sound of muffled sobbing. I sat there in silence, gripping the phone tightly. A flood of memories came rushing back. Him slamming the door in my face, calling me embarrassing, treating me like an unwanted shadow. Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted to tell him he was getting exactly what he deserved. But then, I thought of the boy he once was. The little boy who used to crawl into my lap after nightmares, whispering, "Don't let go, Mom." What happened? I finally asked. His story spilled out in broken pieces. The investments had failed. The friends had left. The mansion was mortgaged, the cars repossessed, and creditors were circling like vultures. He had nowhere left to turn. "Mom, I don't know what to do," he whispered. "I thought I had everything figured out, but I was wrong. I've lost it all. Please, I need your help." I closed my eyes, letting the words sink in. There it was. The arrogance stripped away. The pride shattered. What was left wasn't the man who had thrown me out of his life. It was my son. Scared, alone, broken. "Do you remember," I said slowly, "the night you kicked me out? You told me I wasn't your home anymore." Silence on the other end. I could almost hear him swallowing hard. "Yes," he admitted softly. "I was a fool. I thought money made me better than you. I was wrong. Mom, please forgive me." Tears burned my eyes, but my voice stayed steady. "I'll help you, but this time, on my terms. If I'm going to step back into your life, you need to understand something. Money isn't family. Respect, love, and humility are worth more than any fortune." For the first time in months, I felt his voice soften, almost childlike again. "I understand, Mom. Just don't leave me alone in this." And in that moment, I made my decision. The next morning, I packed a small bag and took the bus across town. When I arrived, the mansion that had once glittered with wealth looked hollow. The lawn was unkempt, several windows were dark, and the grand driveway was empty. No fancy cars, no crowd of admirers. And there he was, sitting on the front steps, head in his hands. For a moment, I just stood there, watching him. He looked nothing like the arrogant man who had thrown me out months before. He looked like my boy again, lost, broken, and in desperate need of guidance. When he lifted his head and saw me, his eyes filled with tears. "Mom," he whispered, his voice shaking. I walked up slowly, set my bag down, and sat beside him. For a while, we didn't speak. The silence carried all the words we didn't know how to say. Finally, I broke it. You know, son, money can disappear overnight. But character, the way you treat people, the respect you show, that's what lasts. He nodded, wiping his face. I see that now. I thought I was untouchable. I thought those people were my family. But they left the moment the money did. That's because they weren't family, I said firmly. They were using you. Real family doesn't disappear when times get hard. For the first time in months, he reached for my hand. I'm sorry, Mom, for everything, for forgetting where I came from, for forgetting you. Tears slid down my cheeks, but I squeezed his hand. I forgive you. But forgiveness isn't enough. You have to change. You can rebuild, but only if you learn to value the right things this time. He nodded again, and in that moment, I could see the determination returning to his eyes. Not the reckless ambition that had once blinded him, but a humbled, genuine resolve. Over the next weeks, I helped him pick up the pieces. Together, we sold off what was left, paid down debts, and started mapping out a simpler life. He no longer chased luxury or validation. He worked to rebuild his integrity. And one evening, as we sat in my little apartment, eating the same apple cinnamon pie I once carried to his mansion, he looked at me and said, "Mom, I finally understand. The fortune wasn't the $53 million. It was you." I smiled, tears in my eyes, and whispered, "Then maybe you're richer now than you ever were." Because in the end, the greatest wealth isn't in numbers. It's in the people who never let go, no matter what. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned, because more amazing stories are on the way.